everyone, and welcome to my channel and welcome to my brand new craft room. I'm Allie, and if you've been following along, I have moved. I live in a new apartment now, and I finally get a space to use as my craft room, a DIY studio, home office, whatever you want to call it. So you just saw me right there getting some of the initial measurements for this room because I have some big plans for a renter-friendly accent wall that's gonna go right behind me right here. You may have already seen my board and batten DIY where I did something similar. This time we're gonna try something a little different, and I want to show you some of my initial inspiration for the piece because not only are we going to do this renter-friendly shiplap wall, we're also gonna do kind of a faux built-in look, and I'm really excited to try this and show you that we can do something that is totally removable but has a really high-end looking result. So let's go and take a look at my design plan, some of my inspiration, and before we get right into starting to build this. So we are here on the floor. I have my laptop and we're gonna take a look at my inspiration, my mood board. I'm using Milanote to come up with this brainstorming mood board here. And you can kind of get an idea of my design plan as you see on the screen. I pulled in some of these pictures off of Pinterest that I just really loved the look. And so you can kind of get an idea of what we're going for. So one of the things you can see is that there's going to be some shelving units. That is definitely something I'm going to need if this is going to be my craft room. We need lots of vertical storage, so that is a must. Then I also, if you look at some of these pictures, you can see there's an accent wall, and that's what we're gonna be doing here. I thought about doing the board and batten like you have seen me do on the channel before, but then I decided we gotta do something different. We've done the board and batten, but we have not done faux paneling yet. So that is something that I really wanna try doing. So you can see in these pictures right here, I'm gonna bring in vertical shiplap. I wanna go more of a transitional look, so by turning the shiplap boards from horizontal to vertical, it achieves maybe more of that traditional look. Over here you can see my color palette, and I'm thinking I'm just gonna stick with neutrals for the time being as we go into this space because I wanna be able to kind of grow into this craft room and maybe eventually add some color to it, but by starting with a neutral blank canvas, it's just a good way to kind of get used to how I'm gonna use the space. So as you can see, that is kind of our game plan right here. I have to go buy some of the supplies. I think we're just gonna head out to the hardware store. Now, full disclosure, this plan here and this project is not going to be a really affordable renter-friendly project. It is going to be 100% removable. It is going to be a little bit on the higher price tag side of things, but to me, this is worth it because I want to create a really cool looking backdrop that you guys are going to see in every one of my videos. And also, this is not going to be like a beginner, no power tools project. We are going to be using a lot of power tools for this one, but don't click away because I promise you, you're going to get some inspiration and a lot of just fun ideas from this video. So I just want to show you that. And plus, if you want to do a similar look, you can probably achieve that with my old board and batten video. That will be linked, of course, in the description box. So the hardest part of this project, I think, is going to be the way that makes this 100% renter friendly, and that is installing the boards that the shiplap is going to mount onto. So I just have this little board right here. What is this, a 1x2? I think this is a 1x2. We're gonna install these. In order to install it though, we wanna not do a whole bunch of drywall anchors. We want this to be stable. So we're going to have to screw these into the studs. So you're also going to need a stud finder in order to do this. And I'll walk you through just the steps on using this properly and making sure that these go up on the... So don't throw your stud finder, but I'll show you how we're gonna use it when we install these, and that's gonna be the first step, locating the studs on the wall so that we can get these up there, and then I think this project is going to move along real quickly.
Say no, I'm not like you, I don't think that you get it. You should go and get out, I'll make you regret it. Someone like you should worry about, maybe your two's upside down. And I'm not like you, I don't think that you get it. I don't wanna put on a smile, everybody expects me to. So you can keep your suit and your tie, gotta hope it's you. Yeah, I do. You're right, so you don't need to impress the ones you hate. 'Cause everything you own just ends up owning you.
got all of the support boards up on the wall and it went pretty well. I think it should have worked. We got all of the screws into the studs, which is exactly what we wanted. Ignore the fact that the top was not level. I don't know what I was doing, but it'll be fine. You'll never see it. So the next step is the shiplap, which I have right here. And so typically you see the shiplap this way on the wall. This is like the very traditional way, but we're gonna go this way. Now this was kind of the big cost of the project. To save a little bit of money, what I did was, because we don't need a full 8-foot wall coverage, I just got a 12-foot board, had them cut it in half at the hardware store, and they just kind of flip together just like this, and you get that gap in between. That is exactly what you want. And we're going to be installing these to kind of cover the first 2/3 of the wall right here. And yes, so this will be fun, but the first thing we need to do is just trim these down ever so slightly, just a couple inches, so that they meet perfectly level where the desktop that I'm hoping to install is. All right, we did a nice cutting montage, and that means all of our boards are cut, and now it is time to get them up on our wall right here. So we're going to have to install this in a very renter-friendly way. Now, typically the method, all you'd have to do is just nail these right into the wall or into the support beams that you installed, but we are going to need access to those screws that we put in the wall to take this all down, and I don't want to risk prying those off the wall when it comes time to move out. So for the boards that are going to end up falling on top of the screws, we're going to screw them into the wall. That way they can be removed, remove all those pieces, remove the screws on the mounting boards, and everything will just come down all at once. And that is just the secret hack to make this 100% removable, because all you have to do is take those teeny tiny screw holes we made, patch them up, and you are good to go, because we didn't even use anchors, so it's gonna hardly leave a mark on the wall. The first board will be the hardest one to put up, because you gotta make sure it's level, but after that, I think it's going to be smooth sailing. To keep this very renter friendly and safe, we're going to make sure that you're using a really short screw. So what I have right here are just 1-inch screws. This is just gonna be enough to go right through the shiplap board, but not enough to go through the mounting board and into the wall. That way we're not worrying about having all sorts of different screws, putting holes in the wall, and we're only gonna have the 12, I think, that are in the wall currently. The wall is up. I also filled in all of the holes on the bottom portion of the wall. I'm not really concerned. We probably won't even see that they're there, but for a good measure, I filled in those nail holes. We're not filling in the screw holes because we need access to those when it's time to remove everything down. So for the upper portion of the wall near the ceiling, to both hide the gap that the shiplap created, as well as the nails and the screws, we're going to be using a piece of trim in order to get access to it. The easiest way I could think of was by using command strips, the tried and true renter-friendly favorite. This will just be used to tack that trim piece up on top. We'll be able to rip it down when it's time to tear down the wall, access the screws, and it's all gonna go very smoothly. We're on to the part where we are going to be putting in the faux built-ins. Originally when I wanted to do this project, I wanted to use the IKEA Billy Oxberg cabinet, shelf, bookcase thing. They were all sold out everywhere, so I turned to Amazon and actually think I found something a little bit better that's gonna look even prettier than the IKEA shelves, and also they're a little bit taller too, so that is great. And what we're gonna do is get them into the space, and you know, I am just gonna be really lazy, and I think I'm just gonna use a little editing magic to get them right here into this room. And they're here. If only life was really that easy. As of right now, it kind of just looks like I have some paneling up on the wall and two random bookcases sitting right in front of it. The trick, what is going to make this look like these bookcases are built in? There's gonna be a couple different steps we have to do. One thing I wanna do is put a desk that goes right here, but what is really going to seal the deal on the look, you come over here and take a look at the bookcase. I put in the back that came with it, and first of all, it's not even cute with this thing that goes down the middle, and then you just can't see the paneling that we just spent so much time putting up on the wall. So we're going to remove this backing, and then when we push the bookcases up against the wall, you'll notice that it's gonna look like it's part of this entire room. Desk on, and my original plan was to have the desk sit forward like this and then add a front to it that lined up with the existing front. But then I realized that this gap here just doesn't look good. The purpose of the gap was to run cables up, so if I put my sewing machine here to like run fabric behind, but I don't think that's going to work. So I want to push this backwards, and unfortunately, that means if I still want to add the front facing piece to make this look a little cleaner, we're going to have to take these supports off, which we just installed, cut them down a tiny bit smaller, and then put them back up here. But that should work well enough to, I guess, you know, pretend like this never happened. Now that the desk has been fitted and also the shelves have been prepped, the next step that we have to do is paint them, which is the fun part, but we have to make sure that we have a good surface for that paint first. So that is going to require 2 steps on anything that has that melamine or plastic type coating on top of it, like the bookcases, like the shelf board, or any kind of IKEA furniture for that matter. You need to first give everything a really light sand using just kind of like a medium grit sandpaper. You're basically just roughing things up a little bit in order for the next step to have something to grip onto instead of that slippery plastic surface. And for that next step, you need primer, and not just any old primer. You need a very specific high bonding primer. Now, you could use a shellac-based primer, which is probably the best of the best primer to use. However, it is oil-based, which means you need a very well-ventilated area, and I personally just don't feel like messing around with an oil-based primer. So I got a water-based one, and I think this is the next best, which is the Valspar Stain Blocking Bonding Primer Extreme Adhesion. I think that this one is the way to go for this project. It is water-based, it's gonna be low odor, and it is going to dry really quickly and give us that adhesion that we need, and then we can begin rolling on that primer. Welcome back to another day. The primer is on. I did 2 coats of the primer. It is dry, and let me tell you, this stuff on here feels so good. Like, compared to a regular primer, I can tell that this is really going to bond that paint to these shelves. And that is where we are now. It is time to paint. Now, for this process, I went back and forth a lot with the color that I wanted to choose. I really couldn't decide. Did I want to go like a dark color? Did I want to go with a shade of white to kind of do like an off-white? Did I want to do like a pink or something kind of crazy or fun like that? But I ultimately decided to keep it neutral. And as I was going through paint chips, I came across what I would say, the perfect color for my backdrop. And that's because the color I picked out is quite literally called Perfect Backdrop. That was really, really corny. We're gonna start by taping everything off to make sure we don't get any paint on the actual wall, and then we'll go in with a paintbrush to fill in the grooves between the shiplap boards before moving on to the shelves. It took 3 coats of paint to get the wall and the shelves completely covered and looking great. And then it was time to move them into place, install the desk, put the cabinet doors back on, and of course add the finishing touch with these beautiful brass knobs. And now I can show you how these faux built-ins look in 3, 2, 1. All right, what do you think about how these turned out? I am so happy with how this looks between the wall with the shiplap paneling, the bookcases, the crown molding. I think this has all come together to turn out exactly how I was envisioning it, and quite honestly, I wasn't sure if we were even going to get to this point to where it would look like this. It was a lot of work. I'm like, do I ever want to paint giant furniture pieces like this again? And I'm saying this now, and you know for a fact that we will probably be back in this situation sometime down the line. But in the comments, I want to hear, do you think I did a convincing job of creating this faux built-in look, as well as that shiplap wall, keeping it renter friendly? And I know this was a little bit more of a high-end budget project, but this is going to become the backdrop of my craft room. And I'm so excited to see this coming together, that I'm gonna have my little DIY studio here, and there's still so much more we have to do to get this space done. If you don't want to miss out on the next few parts of putting together my craft room, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, turn on that notification bell so you don't miss when I post those videos. We still have to decorate everything, assemble everything. There's going to be a big IKEA hack in here as well. And then of course, we have all the craft supplies to bring in and then organize. So there's just a lot to do, but I'm so happy with just getting this part done. Now, of course, if you need another renter-friendly accent wall idea, my board and batten wall that I made that is totally renter-friendly and budget-friendly, that's on the screen right here, along with another video you might like to check out. Thanks so much for watching this video, and I'll see you next time. Bye!